Hi, my name's Craig and I'm from Teesside.
Hey, good.
I become to know Jesus when I was 38 years old. I'm 51 now. But years ago, I grew up on a rough council estate. My dad was a tough man. He worked in a scrapyard. And in that scrapyard, he used to like fighting the lads that come in to pinch the scrap. That was a hobby of his. So my dad was quite tough on me, you know. And one of the things my dad always said to me is, son, make them think you're crazy and they won't touch you. And I grew up that in my life. My mum suffered with mental health, so you know I was getting the sort of like tough love. But my mum had mental health, and my mum used to to try to commit suicide a lot. Often a lot of the time, she'd take tablets in front of me while I was sat in the front room. So I always had anxiety and stuff like that, which led to my basically, they loved me, they loved us, and they done the best by us, and they weren't Christians, and they made mistakes, you know, and I totally forgive them for that, you know, and they're different people now. And then, you know, they tried the best. My school education suffered with, you know, because I didn't want to be there. Do you know what I mean? I rebelled against the education system. You know, I found school so difficult that I was a nightmare in school, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm sure I give about, you know, I'm not proud of this, but I tortured teachers, you know, because I didn't want to be there. I was a horrible person in school, really. Which that led me going to naughty boys school. Now, if you think you're tough in a normal school, when you go to naughty boys school, it's a different outlook. I think that most of them kids are tougher than you. So you think you're taking the easy option, but you're not. So I went to naughty boys school, and after that, I started work. And while I was at work, I really, as soon as I got in that system, I loved it. You know, I was working hard. I was a manager at the time. I was like 18-year-old. But I still had that, like, you know, this big man thing of my dad, you know, like, if you know, I was always trying to be angry around people. I was a bit of a nightmare to be around. And while all this was going on, my mum had a stroke when she was 50-year-old. And basically what happened there, my mum had a stroke and everyone leaned on me, you know, because I was probably acting tougher than I was at the time. And anyway, when my mum had the stroke, it left more anxiety in my life. Do you know what I mean? Because I was frightened to death. You know, and I thought one day something bad's going to happen to me. Mike said there, you know, I still go to sleep on a night. You know, not as much as I used to, but it does haunt me a little bit. So that word was for me, Mike. My first marriage, I took a lot of that into there. So while I was my ex-wife, I was still trying to be a boyo and all this rubbish and be the big man, which I really wasn't. You know, it was a mindset I had. So that marriage ended up in the bin, really. My wife suddenly come home one night and she said to me, Craig, I'm leaving in the morning at 6 o'clock. Well, that broke me, you know. At that time, I literally just dived into suicide. I was thinking about suicide. I was thinking about how I could kill myself. And basically, before I even knew it, I'd gone out and bought a sports car. And I had a big gym in the garage. I got rid of all that, sold it all, put the sports car in the thing where I had all the mirrors. And I started drinking a bottle of whiskey. And as I was drinking the whiskey, I was going to sleep, turning the car on. And thank God, because I didn't know God at this time. Basically, I don't know how close I was, but I think I was very, very close. One of the things that really happened to me is I used to, and that drove into alcohol really, and I used to drink a lot of alcohol to help me do it. And I always remember it really pulled me out of it. One of the things that pulled me out of it, one night I used to put my son Samuel to bed, and I loved him dearly, he's my best friend. And when I put him to bed, at about 9 o'clock, I just started crying in the front room. And one night I just heard, Daddy, why do you always cry when I go to sleep? And that woke me up out of this. So I moved on my life. I met my wife, who is now Colleen, and still struggled, loads of hobbies, trying to fill this void in my life. Anyway, we went to Ireland, and when I was in Ireland, we were on about the second day, and I was just walking through the middle of Dublin. We'd just been shopping, and this thing hit me. And honestly, nobody had ever told me about Jesus. I've never, because if you had it, I told you you were mad. And this thing hit me, and it hit me about 3 times, and I was crying every time. And then the third time, I said to my wife now, I said, Colleen, I said, God's calling me. She said, Craig, you're having a nervous breakdown. Let's get back to our Donners, and we'll go and talk about it. I said, Colleen, I know what it is. So I come back to England, and I ended up, to keep this short, I'd done an Alpha course. And on that Alpha course, they were telling me about Jesus. And I can honestly say I fought every way through it. Nah, it can't be true. No one loves me like this. I'm not good enough. Everyone else is posher in this room. And you know what? It went on. And while this was going on, I was still going out partying, doing all the stuff, but going to church on a Sunday. I wasn't even a part-time Christian, I was just going to church on a Sunday. Anyway, after about 3 years, I had a dream, and this dream was like nothing I'd had before. I've never had a dream like this. And God showed me hell. And as I was looking into hell, basically it was a massive pit, and people were running scared and they couldn't get out. And the fear in the face really frightened me. And as I'm looking down, I'm teetering over, and Jesus appeared to my right-hand side, and he said to me, he said, "What do you want, Craig?" He said, "Do you want that, or do you want me?" So at that, I grabbed Jesus, and he took me up, and I honestly walked out this dream. So the first thing in Ireland, I knew heaven was real, and then when I had this dream, I knew hell was real, and that really frightened me, and I knew I had to change. So I did, you know, I tried my best. I went on courses at church and stuff like that. At one point, I had a little ministry where we went around talking to people on the streets and stuff like that. We've done that for about 3 years. And I can honestly say, like, all of my family has got depression, and I know that I had it, but becoming my faith in Jesus, that has gone. Do you know what I mean? I still suffer with a bit of anxiety. I'm not going to say I don't. And one of the real stories of this year was really that because of school and not being able to do stuff at school, I've never read. So that's my Bible there. I've never read that really, right? And there was a course in church, and they said, like, does anyone want to read the Bible? Does anyone want to, like, learn, you know, to do it? So I got up and somebody prayed for me. I'm reading that Bible daily and nightly now. And that is a gift from God.
Yes.
And listen, I'm going to finish with this. You know what? If you're in this room tonight and you don't believe Jesus is real, I'm telling you he's real. He spoke to me in Ireland, and he sent me a dream. And I know heaven's real, and I know hell's real. And I'm here tonight to tell you he's amazing and he's real. Amen. Thank you very much.